There comes a moment in a man's life when everything he thought he needed is gone. His money slips away, his friends vanish, the woman he loved turns her back, the world that once cheered for him now laughs at his fall. And he is left standing in silence, with nothing but his own breath echoing in the darkness. And in that moment, most men break. Most men collapse under the weight of it. They drown themselves in distraction, in numbness, in excuses. But there are a rare few, who don't run from that emptiness. They stare into it. They let it burn them. They let it strip them down until there is nothing left but the core of who they truly are. And that is where danger is born, not in comfort, not in success, but in loss, in nothingness, in the fire of pain that refuses to leave you alone. You see, when a man has nothing left, you can't take anything away from him. And that makes him dangerous, because pain is no longer his enemy. It becomes his weapon. Loneliness is no longer his weakness. It becomes his training ground. And every scar, every sleepless night, every moment of silence sharpens him into something the world can no longer control. Think about it. The strongest men in history, the men who shifted the earth beneath their feet, didn't rise from luxury. They rose from nothing. They rose from betrayal, from hunger, from emptiness. They rose because there was nothing left to lose, and in that void they discovered power no one could take from them. Imagine him, a man who once had it all: friends, love, a comfortable life, and then life stripped it all away. At first, he fought against it, clinging to the pieces. But the harder he tried to hold on, the faster it all slipped through his fingers. Until one day, he woke up with nothing but silence staring him in the face. That silence was unbearable. The room felt like a prison. The nights felt endless. His mind screamed for escape, for comfort, for someone to save him. But there was no one coming, no one to call, no one to hold him up, just him and his pain. That's when the shift began, slowly, quietly, in that silence. Something broke, and something else was born. He stopped begging for the world to give him back what he lost. He stopped crying for someone to notice his pain. Instead, he embraced it. He realized, if I have nothing left, then I have nothing to fear. And if I have nothing to fear, then I am free. Do you feel that? That's danger. That's the kind of man who doesn't need approval, who doesn't chase validation, who doesn't live in fear of losing. Because he's already lost it all. When a man has nothing left, he starts building from a place the world can't touch. He wakes up not because he's excited, but because discipline drags him out of bed. He pushes through not because someone is cheering, but because he refuses to quit. And every day, that nothingness fuels him. Every day, he gets harder, sharper, more unshakable. The world looks at him and thinks he's broken. But they don't understand. This man is becoming unstoppable. They mistake his silence for defeat. But in reality, his silence is training. His loneliness is chiseling him into steel. His heartbreak is forging his resolve. And when he returns, when he steps back into the world, he's not the same man who fell. He's colder, stronger, more calculated. And now he is dangerous, because the man with nothing left has nothing to lose. And a man with nothing to lose is the most powerful man alive. So if you feel like you've lost everything right now, if your heart is shattered, if your world has collapsed, if you're sitting in the dark wondering if life is even worth it, listen to me. This is your moment. This is where the world thinks you'll break. This is where most men give up. But if you endure, if you let the silence teach you, if you let the pain carve you into something new, you will rise dangerous. Because the truth is this: comfort never made a man great. Comfort never made a man unstoppable. It was always the fire, the loss, the emptiness that created legends. The man with nothing left doesn't beg. He doesn't fear. He doesn't wait for approval. He takes his pain, his emptiness, and he turns it into power. And when that man walks back into the world, people don't recognize him. The ones who laughed at his fall, the ones who left him in the dirt, they stare in silence, because the man who was once broken has now become a storm. And storms don't ask for permission. They destroy, they rebuild, they shift everything in their path. That is what it means to be dangerous. That is what it means to be unshakable. Not when you have everything, but when you've lost it all, and you rise anyway. So I'll ask you, what do you have left to lose? If the answer is nothing, then maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. Maybe it's time to stop waiting. Maybe it's time to rise. Because when a man has nothing left, that's when he becomes dangerous. When a man has nothing left, the world assumes he is finished. They think he's been stripped of everything that could give him purpose, drive, or strength. But what they don't understand is this. When the weight of the world presses a man down to rock bottom, when the last thread of comfort is cut away, when he stares into the mirror and sees only emptiness staring back, that is not the end. That is the beginning of something terrifying. Because in that void, something begins to grow, something the world never saw coming. At first, the emptiness is unbearable. You wake up and there's nothing to cling to. No job, no money, no woman, no hand on your shoulder saying, "I believe in you." All you have are your scars and your silence. The nights feel longer, the days feel heavier, and the echo in your chest feels like it might crush you from the inside. People think emptiness destroys you, but they are wrong. Emptiness teaches you. It strips you of the illusions, the fake friends, the masks you used to wear. It forces you to face yourself, raw, unfiltered, and unarmed. That's when the turning point comes. You realize no one is coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not society. And suddenly, you stop begging for help. You stop waiting for a handout. You stop hoping someone will understand your pain. Instead, you rise. Slowly, painfully, defiantly, you rise. Because when you have nothing left, you discover the only thing you can rely on is yourself. And that realization ignites a fire. Every day after that, the emptiness stops being your enemy. It becomes your training ground. You wake up, and instead of feeling crushed, you start asking, what can I build today? Who can I become today? You start small. A single pushed up, a single hour of reading, a single moment of discipline where you say no to the old habits that destroyed you. The man with nothing left starts stacking bricks, one at a time, in silence. No applause. No cheers. Just him and the grind. And as those bricks pile up, something changes inside him. He begins to see that emptiness wasn't the end. It was the foundation. Do you know why dangerous men are born in silence? Because when nobody believes in you, you stop caring about proving them wrong. You stop chasing approval. You start moving with a kind of focus that cannot be bought. The man with nothing left becomes dangerous because he realizes he has nothing to lose. His fear evaporates. His doubts melt. He starts walking into battles he would have once run from, because he's already tasted hell, and he knows he can survive it. That's the turning point, the shift from weakness to power, from victim to warrior, from hopeless to unstoppable. Every scar becomes armor. Every night of loneliness becomes training. Every rejection becomes fuel. And slowly, the man who had nothing left transforms into the man who has everything the world can't take away. Discipline, hunger, resilience, unbreakable will. The people who laughed at him when he was broken, they don't laugh anymore. The world that wrote him off as finished now watches in fear, because the man who once begged for mercy now shows none. He builds his body until it's steel. He sharpens his mind until it's a weapon. He hardens his heart until betrayal can't touch it. And in his silence, he prepares for the moment when life tries to break him again. Except this time, he's ready. This time, the pain won't destroy him. It will empower him. Understand this, when a man hits rock bottom, life gives him two choices. Stay there, rotting in self-pity, or rise from the ashes like a beast the world has never seen. And when a man chooses the second path, when he decides to build instead of break, to fight instead of fold, that's when the dangerous version of him is born. He stops complaining. He stops explaining. He moves in silence, stacking power, day after day, until the man who once had nothing becomes the man no one can stop. And the irony, it all started with nothing. The emptiness, the loneliness, the pain. Those weren't his curses. They were his teachers. They were the fire that burned away his weakness and left only strength. That is the turning point every broken man must face. When you have nothing left, you can choose to die where you stand, or you can choose to rise and become something the world never thought you could be. And when you rise with a fury no one can comprehend, because the man who builds from emptiness doesn't just rebuild his life. He becomes a force that cannot be moved, cannot be manipulated, cannot be destroyed. There comes a point in every man's journey where the pain, the loneliness, the emptiness, it all stops being something he runs from, and instead becomes the very thing he carries like a sword. That's the final transformation. That's when the man who once lay broken on the floor rises up with a kind of power that doesn't come from money, or fame, or validation. It comes from survival. It comes from staring into the abyss and refusing to let it swallow him. The man who has nothing left doesn't just rebuild himself. He evolves. He becomes someone so dangerous, so unshakable, that the world no longer recognizes him. And that's not because he gained things. It's because he mastered himself. He doesn't fear losing anymore. How could he? He already lost it all once, and he's still standing. That's why he's unstoppable. That's why he's dangerous. Picture this. The man who was once ignored now walks into rooms with a silence that demands attention. Not because he begs for it, but because his presence carries weight. His scars speak louder than his words. His discipline radiates. People can feel that he is not like them. He has been forged in fire, and fire leaves marks. The final transformation of such a man is terrifying because he is no longer chained to fear or doubt or weakness. He is free. And freedom, when combined with strength, creates a man who cannot be broken. Do you know what makes a man truly dangerous? It's not his fists, it's not his weapons, it's not even his money or influence. It's his clarity, his ability to look at pain, rejection, betrayal, and failure, and instead of crumbling, he smiles. Because he knows those things no longer control him. The world already tried to kill him, and it failed. That's what makes him a storm no one can contain. The final transformation happens the moment a man realizes, my pain is not my weakness, it is my weapon. Every sleepless night, every tear shed in silence, every time he was mocked, abandoned, and left for dead, those moments were not wasted. They were investments. And now, he spends them as power. This man becomes disciplined, not because someone told him to, but because discipline was the only thing that saved him. He becomes focused, not because he wants to impress others, but because focus was the only way out of hell. He becomes relentless, not because it's fashionable, but because he remembers the nights where stopping meant dying inside. Now he moves through life with purpose, every step calculated, every move sharpened. And when life tries to throw pain his way again, he doesn't run, he welcomes it, because he knows pain will only make him stronger. He is dangerous because he is unafraid of suffering. He knows the world cannot break a man who has mastered his pain. And here's the ultimate lesson he teaches: when you have nothing left, you are not weak. You are free. Free to build, free to fight, free to rise without fear of falling. Because once you've lived with nothing, the thought of losing no longer haunts you. You understand that everything you need to survive is already inside you. The world cannot take that away. The dangerous man becomes a teacher to others, not with words, but with his life. People look at him and see the impossible. They see a man who was supposed to stay broken, yet here he is, stronger, sharper, unstoppable. And that inspires others to face their own storms. Because if he could rise from nothing, why can't they? But make no mistake, this man is not kind in the way the world wants him to be. He is not soft. He does not bend easily. He does not waste his strength trying to fit into society's fragile expectations. He has seen too much, endured too much, to be controlled. His kindness is disciplined. His love is guarded. His trust is earned through fire. And his respect is priceless. That's what the final transformation looks like. A man who has rebuilt himself so completely that he is no longer who he once was. He has become a weapon, a storm, a living reminder that pain does not destroy, it creates. And when life pushes him again, when betrayal strikes again, when hardship comes knocking again, he doesn't shatter, he grows sharper, harder, more unbreakable. Understand this: the most unstoppable men you will ever meet are not the ones who had everything. They are the ones who had nothing, and turned that nothing into everything. They are dangerous because they know how to live without comfort. They know how to fight without applause. They know how to build without permission. And they know how to keep going when everyone else quits. The man who has nothing left and still rises is not a man anymore. He's a force, a living storm, a walking fire. The kind of man history remembers, because he proves what's possible when the world takes everything from you, except your will. So, if you are listening to this, and you feel like you've been stripped of everything, if you feel like you're standing in the ruins of your life with nothing left, understand this: you are not finished. You are at the beginning of your transformation. This pain is not the end. This emptiness is your foundation. And if you build from here, brick by brick, scar by scar, you will become something the world has never seen before. And one day, the same people who doubted you will look at you and realize they were never laughing at a broken man. They were watching the rise of something dangerous, something unshakable, something unstoppable. That's the ultimate lesson. When a man has nothing left, he doesn't just survive, he becomes the most dangerous version of himself.